Directed and co-written by James Chick. We are talking Feet of Death. Now, with a title like that, I would suspect you may be thinking this is kind of a comedy movie. It isn't. It's an odd choice of a title, I won't lie. It is in actual fact a Bigfoot movie. And although it does have a couple of comedic lines, it's really played pretty much straight. Odd choice of title, just saying. Anyway, what is the story? Well, it takes place in this kind of forestry area, as you'd probably expect, and there have been a rash of disappearances and bodies that have turned up within the kind of the recent history that have been put down to, air quotes, animal attacks. And at this time we have this kind of social media influencer who ends up in this forest and gets killed by something. And it's down to the kind of the local sheriff and a kind of forestry ranger, I suppose, who kind of lead the investigation about this guy's death. And, you know, obviously initially it's kind of put down to a bear attack, but as the evidence goes on, we learn that it may well be something different. So this movie is very much a police procedural style movie more than anything else, which is a different kind of approach, I would suggest, than a lot of these kind of Bigfoot style movies. It very much follows the investigation rather than people kind of trompsing around in the woods. There is some of that, obviously, but for the most part it's going through the evidence, interviewing people, you know, talking to the coroner, looking at video evidence. So it very much plays like a kind of CSI does Bigfoot, effectively. I kind of quite liked the different approach to it. It gives it something of a fresh feeling. There's been plenty of Bigfoot movies at this point. There's a few things for me that made this movie stand out. Number one, I think the character work here is excellent. And I've said this before, I've likened some movies to this, like Jaws. Jaws is a good movie, but one of the aspects that made Jaws work was its strong character work, and I think that sometimes it's overlooked. And this is, I'm not saying this is a Jaws, you know, level kind of movie, but it's certainly a movie which I think puts characters at the forefront. The relationship between our kind of forestry ranger Jason and this kind of police chief Ken is at times combative, but they're both professionals. They kind of act like professionals. They have a little bit of animosity, but they kind of, it flares up, but they sort of work through it to get to the greater good. I like in movies when we have professionals, you know, who are depicted as being professionals in their field. So often I think sometimes these films have scenes where people are doing a job and all they're doing is piss-arsing around. And when you're depicting professionals at work, I like to see them being portrayed professionally. Even though they have personal relationships, it works. And the way these actors, I think, particularly the Ken, the police chief, I think has this kind of relationship. It feels so naturalistic. The way they follow the evidence, it comes to a dead end, they try something else. I thought it was really kind of well done. And there are other characters as well that I think just have a very strong sort of personality and charisma that comes through on screen. So I thought the character work here was excellent, and for the most part I think the acting was strong. I didn't feel there was any weak actors here. I think there's certainly some actors where I think they definitely do a particularly strong job. I think our main character of Jason, who is our forestry ranger, his acting is maybe not as strong as others, but he still is good enough for this kind of movie. I thought the guy who played the Chief Ken was excellent. I thought the guy who played this kind of redneck who lives out in the woods was good. But yeah, there's no weak links in regards to acting. It goes from at least okay to very good. The story itself, as I've said, it's a lot of it is a kind of police procedural. That may not be what everyone wants from a Bigfoot movie. I kind of quite enjoyed the more logical and procedural pace of it, but we do get, certainly in the final act, a little bit more kind of traditional monster in the woods kind of chasing people style action, and I think that's done relatively well. But I kind of quite like the story. I think the movie has some interesting reveals as the film sort of goes on. Obviously, I'm not going to kind of go too much on about that. And the other thing I would say as well is there's some really nice cinematography. A lot of it is just B-roll. But I have to say, some of the way these kind of woods are shot, I mean, there's a lot of critiques about movies being shot in the woods, as it's obviously incredibly cheap. But I have to say there's some really nice kind of photography here, I have to say. That you know, we see like the moon between the trees and lights kind of like being used to kind of like stream out through the trees. I thought there's some nice effects here. Even in our sort of cave systems and stuff, I thought that was, again, sort of quite nice. So I think the movie has a assured hand behind it. It feels confidently directed. I feel the actors are very comfortable in their roles and feel naturalistic in their kind of dialogue. You know, and that's such a key thing. I've reviewed so many films here where I feel the dialogue is just not good. Here I think the dialogue is very good, delivered confidently by actors where I feel really embody their roles. The Bigfoot creature is a little bit of a mixed bag, but I think there is certainly some sequences where I think it looks good. You know, it's never terrible. It's never terrible, but yeah, it's okay for a kind of a lower budget movie. So what doesn't work? I think the pace of this film and the fact this is more of a police procedural than anything else may put people off who want more of a straight horror film, because it really feels more like a crime movie than a horror film at times, until we get to the end where it kind of feels like Predator. So yeah, but there is a long portions of this movie where it kind of feels more like a crime drama than an actual horror film, and I feel that may put people who want more of a straight horror film off. That being said, I have to say there are elements here that I felt bordered on a little bit of an odd choice. There's a kind of some elements here that almost make it feel like Scooby-Doo, is all I'm going to say here. It feels kind of like a Scooby-Doo story, weirdly. I know that sounds weird. But yeah, and there's some elements, certainly at the beginning, where we see the footage that this influencer is taking. We see it from his cameras and stuff. I didn't really feel was necessary. I didn't really feel like we needed to see a lot of his footage. Because ultimately, we see that he's killed straight away. I didn't really feel we needed to see the journey up until that point so much, because we kind of see a lot of him talking to the camera and that kind of thing. It's like, why are we spending so much time with this character who we know straight away is going to die? I have a few scenes, I guess, to establish what he's doing there, but I didn't think you needed so many scenes, if I'm being completely honest. And there's times when, even though this movie is a straight film, there's some like comedic moments that are a little bit overplayed. There's like an instance where we see an interview with this young woman who is working in this shop, and it's that scene again. It feels a little out of place because she's like her answers are so goofy. It doesn't feel with the rest of the film. It feels a little bit out of place. As I've mentioned, the Bigfoot creature, why is it is kept in shadow, or we see parts of it and things. But there's a couple of times where I don't know if it, again, probably budgetary reasons. Maybe it looks not the best depiction of a Bigfoot we've ever seen on the screen. Relatively minor quibble, because to be honest with you, I appreciate a lot of these films are, low budget, and it is what it is. We only can go up to the budget that these films have, but it's fine. It's not bad. It's just I don't think it's necessarily the best. And with that, well, as the film concludes, I feel some people may feel a little unsatisfied. I kind of liked where this kind of film went. I thought it gave it a, you know, I could have quite liked it, a good sense of kind of realism to a certain degree, a little bit different, but I can understand maybe some people may not like the ending. I personally, as I say, I kind of quite liked it. I am going to give this one a 7 out of 10. I actually thought it was a strong movie. If you don't mind more of a kind of a procedural style film, I think you'll definitely kind of enjoy this. So yeah, I kind of recommend it. If you fancy it, please do let me know what your thoughts are, and I shall look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.